Okay, so I think we're live now, and let me hit the intro. So, hey guys, we got Brad with us. And I'll just hit the subscribe video, guys. Like, you know, so hit the like button, hit subscribe, and hit notifications so you know when we go live. You know, I'm really excited about my guest today. His name's Brad Wol'haver, and he, just like me, he spent a large part of his life skateboarding and surfing. You know, so we have a lot in common. But he's also been like involved in these programs. I wrote a description. I wrote, join me for an eye-opening conversation with Brad Wol'haver. He's an independent researcher, truth seeker, and experiencer as he steps forward for one of the first times since 2014 to reveal an extraordinary lucid dream where he called it bled through from at least 6 different timelines. Brad remembers fragments of impossible events that ended with him waking up in his own bed, memories that don't just belong to one reality. Now he believes he's uncovered an entirely new type of covert operation that demands to be identified, labeled, and documented. Another Blackbook project for the American people that never consented to. Don't miss this discussion of multidimensional bleedthroughs, covert experimentation, and the hidden layers of reality. And I'd like to give him a big warm welcome to the show for the first time. Brad, thanks so much for coming back, or thanks so much for coming on for the first time, man. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. It's another hot day in Florida down here, but you know, it's raining and cooling it off decently compared to how it was last week. It's been pretty miserably hot down here in Tallahassee area, but
yeah.
Oh,
Are you originally from Florida your whole life?
No, I've moved around a few times growing up. I've lived in Texas, I lived in Connecticut, but I have lived in Florida for the majority of my life, I should say, being in this timeline anyways. But I think it's more of like the Panhandle area, since we were talking about surfing and stuff. Like, I've never been down to like the Everglades. I've never been to the East Coast of Florida surfing. I've only been on the Gulf Coast of Florida surfing, but I have been up to Rhode Island and stuff. When I lived in Connecticut, I did grab a board when I was in high school, and then I just in my car. Then I started looking at the coastline of Rhode Island up there, which is kind of interesting. That's what kind of like, you know, whenever you look at a map and you're looking down at the waves, just in a surfer's perspective, you start looking at those areas where they have Montauk and Piero, like there's videos and drone footage, and like I kind of wonder what it would be like to. That water's dark and murky, and it was similar to that because I'm used to very, very clear, emerald clear water down here in the coast.
Oh yeah, dude! It gets. I've surfed in Atlantic City, Jersey, and like New York.
To me, that's kind of murky and darker. That makes me nervous, man. Because like I said, there's so many sharks here that I keep my eyes open as a Gulf Coast surfer. It's like,
yeah, you can't see. Like when I went to Jersey, that's one thing that's crazy. You said that because that's one thing that kind of freaked me out. Like the water was so dark. I was like,
yeah, that's what got me at Rhode Island right away, dude. Same, dude. Same effect.
Yeah, even when you go to like Maryland, when I was in like Ocean City, Maryland, and Virginia Beach, the water's not so dark. It's just like right when you hit Jersey and north, it's a little bit darker, you know?
Okay. Yeah. I met a surfer from Virginia Beach whenever I was up there in Rhode Island when I lived in Connecticut. And yeah, he was super cool. And he was describing what it was like down there versus up here. And yeah, that was interesting though. Like, I don't know. How we come across each other, different surfers along the coastlines, and like you and me have the coolest, like that's so interesting. I didn't know that about you until last night, and you were in a live, and you mentioned Surfline. I was like, wait, what? Did I hear that right, or am I tripping? Like,
yeah, it all started. I'll just tell you real quick. It all started. I used to live in like North Carolina with one of my girlfriends when I was like, 20.
Sick.
Yeah, and we moved down to like Outer Banks area, and I saw people.
Really?
I was like,
man,
I can do this, and then
that's a sick area.
There was like this whole underground subculture of like East Coast surfing, and they were making.
That's where like Brett Barley, I think, is from. That
Brett Barley, I know him. Yeah, dude, he's awesome. Yeah,
he's one of my favorites in the world. That guy's so mellow and chill. Like he's another bro, honestly. Like that guy, I look at learning how to do barrels better from his tip videos because he's so sick and genuine and sincere for like pointers. That is a top tier world class. One of my favorite surfers, and he's from that spot, bro. Like, I want to go there. Like, that would be a destination for me of like people like to do grid work and stuff, but I also want to chase like and go to like Outer Banks.
Well,
That'd be
that's what's
cool.
great about surfing is because like when you're surfing, it's almost like a grounding. Like you can,
Oh,
because
dude,
you're
yes,
in
that's
nature,
the deal.
Yeah.
That's why I gotta go back to it for after like it'll make a lot more sense after I explain all this stuff of like these different other timelines or whatever and whatnot. But as far as trauma and healing and like yeah, getting your wu wei as far as sense of meditative style of how can you it's beyond words of like that meditative state of flow that you're able to be able to heal a lot in a very short amount of time and process a lot in a very short amount of time, like kind of slow down to process your fat carb or your huge layback in that slow down moment of like pulling back into the barrel. It's the same in skateboarding, which obviously, like I said, you have more access to. There's not always waves, so like I would skate growing up, like you said, like all the time. But I gotta go back to be in that ocean to have the salt water and have that puring and immunity and like cleansing feeling, to like have your whole life body just soak within that and be like, okay, like I can come out of this feeling like I'm reborn, and like the whole extremely like there's a lot of Christian surfers on the Gulf Coast that I've really like resonated with, even though I come from more of like a Zen Buddhist background and more of like an Eastern religion and like shamanic and ayahuasca open, like plant teacher entheogen style, like of being open minded to. But there's so much like resident energy of how people gather for paddle-outs whenever someone passes away. Like other sports don't necessarily really do that. Whenever you have a paddle-out, it's a really big deal. Like in Hawaii, and someone passes away, like
Oh
they
yeah.
all go out and they put the flowers out and they sit around it. It's got its own really healthy culture that has kind of blended where I've been able to live mostly on the Gulf Coast of Florida. But
Yeah.
yeah, man,
I was on the Gulf Coast for 10 days. I went down to St. Pete's for the full disclosure not conference, which I think like, but like
yeah,
there weren't that many waves. Like I guess it has to be like
right
a really special day to get
for
like good waves.
there. I mean, the winter is going to be your main Gulf kind of time, and it's going to be like you're looking at like a kind of. It's not that small, but there's like the DeSoto Canyon. Actually, that's actually connected to disclosure because Beth Noyes, the ship that she has been inside of, has contact with, is right wherever she's talked about is at DeSoto Canyon, south of Eglin Air Force Base and Pensacola, like naval
Wow.
Pensacola Beach. That's connected to like me and her are really close as far as like people that are on the outskirts of things. Like we've had a lot of cool conversations where I think she's going to continue to write her book because I was like, I'm really, really into like getting my information out and actually coming out of, I thought I was going to be killed as soon as I saw the device that I did use that did allow for the things. I mean, I don't want to like beat around the bush of that whenever most of the crowd is like, dude, we're not surfers. We don't, you know what I mean?
But
I don't
I
want it
think they
too
can
far, but
they
it
can
does
resonate.
resonate.
They
It
I think
does so
resonate.
much.
Yeah, because a lot of people that watch my show, they either like a lot of them grew up with like how we did, you know what I mean? So like
That's
they
true.
know,
I've noticed that. That's what's
you know.
super rad. I love that about it. Where I was like, wait, what? This person is, and a lot of them honestly, like they're really close to like my age. Where I was like, dude, we probably would have been friends in high school or something, and we probably like got in trouble or like probably would have been doing like hood rat shit together and like
Oh
filming
yeah,
it like jackass style. And I'm doing, like that's kind of what we did. Like that's
yeah,
so I'm the same,
dude. That's the same way. Like same
same
way.
shit, bro.
Me and my friends were like that. Like we would do all the jackass. So like I always used to tell people that me and my friends did the jackass stuff before Jackass came out. You
All
know what I
right,
mean?
so I think that right there, like that allows us to be able to be friends pretty easily. Because then it's like, I can't with my jackass friends have a conversation about being in Montauk or something like that. Like, I can't really necessarily. It's really hard to do that. It's really hard to like talk about a flashback or like a bleed through, etc. And then like kind of break through of like, dude, this is like bothering me. It's hard to communicate that to people who are not like in the know as much. That is really difficult to do. Of like,
Yeah.
it feels weird. Like I feel like a lot of people are gonna like look at me like way differently if they actually took the time to like understand that like I I have too much content and too much recall to be like even for myself, I didn't know what happened to myself whenever I woke up. I was like, maybe I tapped into some type of like spiritual, because I'm a spiritual seeking type of person. So I was doing like shamanic ceremonies before my wake up ever happened, where I was like, I want to learn the truth about myself, no matter how painful it is. And then like my bleed through wake up never happened until like months after that, like just one random night.
Wow.
The big thing with me though, up until like I put a lot together to where like the phenomenon that took place, I was like, okay, I asked my close friends when it did happen, and I have struggled with being able to even talk about it, for one, because I thought I would be killed. Like I say, like it's just too impossible to believe, and I would never. Number one, full transparency, full disclosure, everyone, do not believe anything I'm saying about like it's hard to believe completely. I would look at it theoretically. Like it's just unfathomably so much that it's like it's so much. It's a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, you know that I mean, in your heart that something happened, right? Like that's what
Oh
I think.
yeah. I mean, there's things I can't forget where I can't live a normal life. Like I started learning about it with my close friends who I could be open with, because I would be at work in 2020, and was whenever I was like, I would be watering plants, because I used to work in a cannabis place where you would work in a factory. So I would be watering plants and doing my morning jobs before lunch, and I would like be freaking out. Like I would start having these different, almost like a hallucination style of bleed through, where I would start freaking out with PTSD from events that are from the other timelines that like I've been trying to like heal and process, that like they would just come out of nowhere, and I'm just at work and I'm like, oh, like it's gonna hit you, like I can't do anything about this, like, oh fuck. I would start crying sometimes. Like
Did
I
you
would.
have a relationship with the plants though while you were there? Like, what was that like? Like,
Oh yeah, actually, I actually did. Yeah, like oh dude, I had the biggest relationship with the plants, because yeah, I was able to work alone with only like 300 and something plants in a room, and I had to water a lot of different ones, and I was just alone. And but I mean, I've had my own ayahuasca plant and my own like legal entheogen plants that you can own, that are like I don't know, on the list of MAOI inhibitors and the other alkaloids and the other things that shamanic nerds are into. I wish I
you
had a
gotta
lot more
learn that.
plants.
I gotta learn about some of that stuff. I just wanted to show you this one comment. This is the type of people. My friend Jason, he's a moderator. He says, "Oh, Rob, I was at the weed farmers market yesterday. He got an ounce of oil for 100." So that's good. So people. I almost dropped something. But people are down with this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that must have
That's
been a
why
cool.
thank you for having me on to like,
Oh,
in the
it's not.
right space to express it, where there's not many of
Sorry.
them.
You seem like my kind of person, like you seem like
Likewise, yeah.
stuff,
Yeah, I love that, like 100%, like that's mutual. Like I love that. I mean, I think whenever I originally reached out and it was rocky on my behalf, is because like I think it's my frustration, honestly, sincerely, and my apologies about that, is because it's just been hard to like. I don't want to lean too much into what Penny says about like, the real shit doesn't really get through as much, and most people that are able to talk are CIA, implant information, informatives, whatever. But I think it's more so of just being able to reach out and knowing the right people, and um, me having so much content and being able to like, hey, I'm ready to go, guys. And like, I would be ready and I would try and set it up with people, and then something would happen on whenever they're in. So it's more so of the frustration of like me not having the opportunity. So thank you that I do now. Where like we changed that now. And this, I have recorded with others and they didn't always like release the information. And I more so appreciated the time of hanging out with them and learning from them, because they were awesome. Not that I want to name names, but it was genuinely cool just to hang out and chill, even though they didn't put out the information. And I personally feel like, as much as like the story is personal and about me, it's more so I feel like important about the technology that I use that allowed me to travel time. That's more important than me, Brad. Like, you know what I mean? Like in a whole.
Yeah. Well, tell us about it. Like, how did this all start? And like, take us from the beginning, if you don't mind. That'd be awesome.
So, okay, like I said, I should probably do it like the very beginning of like whenever I was a kid and I had the weird ever since I had, and I have this thoroughly it sucks. I would need a lot of regression to get this back because as a kid I purposely pushed it away because it sucks so bad. So I every week as a kid, whenever you start having dreams, I started having this lucid dream where you're in a train station. And it started happening like 5 nights out of the week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every week almost. Unless I went like somewhere else on vacation. But the in my child like growing up, like understanding in psychology, I thought that was normal as like what nightmares are. So I called this nightmare the train station nightmare. And you basically, what happened for my perception was that you would like come to slouched, set down into a chair. And whenever you would look up, you would see like only black and white lighting. There was a strange lighting in the scene. And so there was like a long bench, and there was an opening section of where the tunnel came through, where it's obvious where that's where the train station comes through. I don't remember. I have zero recall. Like I say, I would probably need help and regression to get it, even though it'd be scary. But there were places to sit. I never remember the train. I don't remember sound. There were purposely not put up any signs of any type of like anything to any language on anything. There was nothing written on. It was like plain cement, plaster, very low tech seeming because it was just a waiting area. And every time this dream would take place, it would happen in the same way, but I would be slouched down in like a different wired metal chair in a way that you would the way that really bothered me when I was a little kid is that I would wake up facing a cement wall in a way that you would never even like lay down or sit. Like you would wake up facing in a way that like you were just sat there facing a blank, literally a cement wall, and you would wake up like you weren't supposed to before transport, I'm assuming. And it was a waiting area. Like every time it happened, I always knew it was like this doom feeling of like there's no way out, so don't even try it, and you're stuck. Like it's a one-way style of like. So that was what the nightmare theme was, but I had no way as a little kid to intellectualize like that could possibly be more. That could be that there are lucid dreams. That anything else. It was just like no, just go back to bed style. If like it would just. I told my grandma all about it before a little bit, but it definitely like encouraged like a massive insomnia for me when I was little because I didn't want to wake up in that train station. So if I didn't go to sleep, I thought I could avoid it, and that doesn't work. But that was the thing that I grew up with until about 8 or 9, and it stopped completely. So that hits, basically what's kind of going on of trafficking and a lot of other. I don't like to visit that part for very long, but I also feel like just in the name of other people who may have similar like you weren't aware if it was a dream or not, and it seems strange, but it's like doesn't make sense. There were probably others. Like I'm pretty sure that there were others in the train station, but I only remember others who would not talk back to me because I was mad in certain moments, and I tried to like. No one would ever communicate back.
Man,
but it just like stopped. Like I was living in Texas at the time, in Red Oak, Texas, and there's like plenty of stuff that's showing like I don't know if it's like a Rand Corp or whatever, but it's showing these underground railroad stations that are going from there and they split off and go into New Mexico and they go further up. Yeah, and I don't. It does match like where I lived in Red Oak, Texas, south of Dallas and north of Waco, but like in between there. But I don't know. I would need help to get more information that I feel like I should speak more on that. Like that's pretty much just like it happens so fucking frequently. It was just like I couldn't I really as a little kid just suppressed like a lot of it. Like so I don't remember a lot of it, and I don't like I mean for the sake of helping and like my book and stuff possibly, but like I have plenty enough to like I'm just gonna go from my notes because like I just want the information out, honestly. But I mean, yeah, dude, like if you feel like I feel like that's thorough enough, like it sucks. Like I don't it's pretty vague and blurry. It was black and white. The people there seemed like they had maybe like a trench coat and or top hats on. I don't remember if I remember ladies there. I think it was maybe only adult males, if I even do it all. But I do remember waiting. I do remember laying down. I do remember like a long cement bench going. If remote viewers want to dabble around and target me and use me as a kid in that timeline in the 90s, like, I don't know. It didn't stop until I was like age 8 or 9. And it was so consistent. I was like, this nightmare sucks. Like, as far as my perception. But, yeah, I don't know. I moved from Texas to Gulf Breeze. That's whenever I saw a lot of sightings. I shouldn't really go into like, you know, my whole life story thing of this timeline. But I went from Gulf Breeze and like between you and I, that's where I started learning how to surf because I was right there close. It was Pensacola Beach was right there, Navarre Beach. So that's where my homie Tyler taught me. But I
So
moved from there. Go ahead.
but you told me that's when you started having a lot of sightings too, right? Like you were.
Oh yeah, like that's a huge thing. Yeah, like dude, I think I saw a puck wedgie out there with my friend that skates, Tim.
No way.
Yeah, I think I did. And it okay, but what do you think though? Do you think that they would be up in a tree?
Yeah, for sure. They could be. They
Oh,
could
oh
be.
my god, dude. I think okay, yeah. All right. Like I wanted to tell that thing, but that's a goal free story for sure. Like that's all right. That's a stoner story though, as like teenagers. I think we did see a puck wedgie one night because we all three saw it and all confirmed it, and I went pretty close to it to try and see it. It had yellow, green, glowing eyes up where you know how like up high where there's like a transformer up on the telephone poles?
Yeah.
We were walking back to my friend's house to go back to sleep, and we snuck out and we basically were coming back. And we weren't sober, but we weren't like tripping. We were pretty stoned, and it was wearing off whenever we saw this freaking thing and it raised the hair on our shoulders. We were pretty sober at the sight of it, basically. But we were walking a long ways at night, and it was probably, I don't know, 1 or 2 a.m. in Gulf Breeze proper. And yeah, when we were on our way home, we started walking, and I saw this glowing thing up in the like I say, like up on a telephone pole, but up at the very highest area of it, where they start mounting the transformers. And I was trying to roll out like the mass and bulk of it. Like, is that the transformer behind the leaves? Because there was a tree up there, and we saw this like bulk mass of something up there, plus the glowing eyes. So we were all like losing how stoned we were completely. Like we were like, okay, wait, what the hell? Like we were like, what the fuck, dude? Like we started walking fast and went past it because we were like pretty shook. We were pretty scared.
Wow.
And so I walked behind them two, my two friends. They walked, but because I was like, and Joe was like, "Come on, bro, let's go!" Like I wanted to see it bad though, so I was stalling back, and I was just trying to see on our way of like, and I didn't get a good sighting of it, but I saw it blink, and I was like, "Oh, no, I gotta look." No, I'm sorry, dude. They walked further up, and I let them continue walking, and I turned and I watched it for like 3 minutes, and then I saw it blink again, and I got really scared. But I started walking over to the left, and its eyes and like frame of like looking at me was like following my movement, and I was like, what is it? And Joe and Tim could see it too. They were like, what? They like, it was the cross confirmation thing, and we were all like looking at it just there, and it was looking back at us. And so I was about 80 feet away from it, and it was up the street, like up an incline on the corner of the road. And I was in the center of the road looking upward at it. And that is all that I could see. And for the longest time, what my like mental description of it was since middle school was like a koala sized, you know, like a marsupial. And I was like open to anything. I was like, did something escape out of one of the bases? Like I was open to any theory because it didn't seem like any natural animal. Like, I love animals and stuff, and I just couldn't label. Like, it wasn't a ringtail cat, it wasn't a raccoon, it wasn't a squirrel. It was big. It was like, it had a thick body bulkness like a marsupial koala in Gulf Breeze, Florida, with green glowing eyes.
That's
But
insane.
yeah, so yeah, I was like, wait, what? After I heard about Puckwedgie and stuff and saw the drawings, and like, I was like, wait a second, that kind of, that really fits. Like, if anything, we saw that though. All three of us. That was scary
Do you
as
think
kids.
it had a purpose for being there? Was it trying to trap? Do you think it was trying to like? Do
It
you
just
think it
seemed
was,
observant. I've wondered that forever. It just seemed observant. It didn't seem like we kind of like shouldn't have been scared. I wouldn't be at having this much more knowledge. We were teenagers and we just saw some weird glowing eyes. And ever since then, I just never, outside of cryptozoology, I was like, this doesn't match any natural animals. Like, that's not a raccoon. Like, it was really obvious. And so we were all three, we stayed there for like 15, 20 minutes. Like, they were further down, and I eventually got really scared and bolted and ran and like almost tripped over this like chain link fence, because like it kind of like moved towards me, like whenever it was watching me and I was in the middle of the street and I was at the closest point, it kind of like moved its body movement toward me, and I saw more of its body in a way where it was like it looked like it had a bigger body mass, like a bigger marsupial kind of.
wow.
And I was like, I ran after that. Like, it was dark. There was a tree blocking most of it, but it was using it for cover while it was observing us walking for a long time and staying completely silent. Maybe it was lost and alone. Maybe it was, you know, doing a nightly food run or something. I don't know. All I know is it was spooky whenever like that was one thing where I was really glad. I think it was Jessica Jones that started talking about Puckwedgies and like had pictures, and I was like, okay, Google, show me. But yeah, I mean, that has nothing to do with my recall, but that does. Gulf Breeze is awesome like that. Like, we saw a ship, we saw a lot of different ships. Like, Gulf Breeze is its own deal. Like, we were coming back on Highway 98, and we were coming back from Baskin Robbins, and we all got ice cream, and my mom, I think my dad, my brother, me, and I feel like maybe even like a friend or something. We were all in our big blood red Suburban, and we were going back towards Crane Cove. We were going from Gulf Breeze proper back into the neighborhood that we lived in. And it was over the live oak like reserve that they have on Highway 98. And there was this orange, like the first biggest sighting and closest sightings I ever saw back then was like a bright orange windows were in place of like a square rectangular shape of a craft that was floating like kind of slowly going alongside the traffic with us. And we were all able to look right outside of the window. It was like at a really low elevation, like right above the tree line of the Oak Reserve. And there was a lot of traffic there, and a lot of other people saw it too. I remember that. But that was one where it was like right in our face. It wasn't like you were looking for it, but it was right there for you to see it. And you're minding your own business, having your Baskin Robbins ice cream, like, you know. And
Wow.
Gulf Breeze is just like, every time I asked people, like after that kind of thing started happening, and I was in like sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, I started asking people, you know, like curious of like, you know, what their opinion is and whatnot. And they honestly, they downplayed it so much. Like, there's a lot of other stories of like locals, and they'll tell you like there's a lot of awesome details of others and other sightings and interesting things like that from that area. That area is really kind of peculiar. Not to like super put it up on the map big time, but living there, definitely I believe that was a Puckwedgie until like it just fits the description. And I mean, I've seen a lot of different ships, and also outside of Eglin Air Force Base, but that's Navarre. That's down the highway from Gulf Breeze. There's Gulf Breeze and there's Highway 98, and you basically just, it's kind of like almost a neighboring city. But
it seems like there's something's going on in that whole area though, because you know, remember there was that whole Gulf
those bases
sighting, right? I mean, it's like famous for the the Gulf Breeze sightings, right? You know what I mean?
Right. They even quoted it in the X-Files. I always thought that was super cool. After
yeah,
I like started caring more, like in a responsible like. But back then, I saw so many ships that I kind of didn't care. Like I was like, okay, that's ships, and really most people of the locals would say that's just reverse engineered. Like it's from the bases and it's us, pretty much. And they would downplay it, and they would not say much more than that. Like I remember asking people as a teenager, and they would really downplay that. Like they would, they would say only so much and be like, it's just the military. Don't worry about it. Like it'll happen. If you saw it, it'll probably happen again. Like, yeah, I've seen stuff too. Like, and they would just not even care. They would literally not care. And I would see like there's some pretty awesome sightings. Like a lot of people go to one cool spot is to go to Fort Pickens at nighttime. I remember there were people that were taking their telescopes out there for sightings specifically, and that was before 98. Like that was mid late 90s, like early 2000s. They were like that was people were going there. I never did that for that spot. I went there for skateboarding, like of all things. Like I went there for skimboarding, and like it's a nice point where there's like a lot of sharks, so it'd be scary to surf there. But there is a break there.
It's so cool. That's so cool, man. I mean, yeah, I know. I've met Piper at the conference, and she spoke pretty highly of the area too. Like it seems like
yeah,
the whole Florida area is interesting to me. Like it's like
it is to me too.
It's like I don't know if you listen to my podcast, but there's points where I felt like I felt like I was in a time loop in Florida, and like weird stuff was happening there. You know what I mean? In St. Pete's that I couldn't like place. So I don't know what. Yeah, but I mean that had to be a cool area to grow up in. It sounds like it was. Like,
I was so bummed when we had to move from here, man. I was like, dude, I love the water. At the week that I like had to go, there was this really pretty tall blonde girl that was like in high school showing interest to me after like being low key about it, and I was like, "What? Are you what?" Like, I was like starstruck almost, and I had to move like the next week. I was super depressed. I was like, dude, I gotta move to Connecticut from here. There's blonde babes. There's surfing. All of my skateboarding homies are here. Bam Margera saw me skate at Deep South and like my style. I was like, bro, I can blow up skating here like really, really well. Like I could do well here, and I could have. And no, we had to move up to Connecticut, really close to the labs and really close to Montauk, and like 300 and something miles where my house was is directly close to fucking Camp Hero in Griswold, Connecticut.
Do you think you were using Camp Hero? Do you, not being like now that you know about it and stuff, do you think like that's why you were there? Like do you think like I don't know,
man? Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any. Yeah, honestly, I've been wondering about that, and yeah, dude, like
sure, yeah.
I was extremely close. If I was already being like trafficked in Texas when I was like a little kid, like why wouldn't you utilize me on a dark or whatever agenda right there whenever, and why would I have to move up there? Like I've looked at things like why would dad just all of a sudden want to move all the way up there for some work, like whenever you have all of your fishing down here, like why this conflict of interest style of like I've put it all under question in a lot of cases of like why would we even go all the way up there? Like what's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, why move away from all of your family that's down here in the South? Like all the families down here. Like my dad's family was Texas, like where I originally was. Like the other families down here in Florida. So it's like, why move away from your fishing and all that? And we're right by those labs. I learned. Connecticut sucked, dude. Yeah. I mean, it did it for Rhode Island, and it did it for skateboarding and my homies, and that, your good buddies to do jackass stuff with. But besides that, dude, like, I don't know. I don't want to get on about like how people are in the South versus like hospitality elsewhere can be different.
Yeah, it's different. It's definitely different ways of living. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and like I noticed a big difference when I traveled down south, and like I always liked it down south better. I mean, I really do. They have more of like a laid back lifestyle. When you get into like Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, like even Virginia, you know what I mean? Like it's just like a different way of like they have a different way of treat. I mean, like I think people up here can be nice too, especially like when you come to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
real welcoming and stuff. But it's just a different. I know what you're saying. Like it's a whole different lifestyle down there.
I mean, yeah, to its extent. I mean, but yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that. So, anyways, we were on Gulf Breeze and the Puck Wedgie, and plenty of sightings. And then yeah, I had to move up to Connecticut. There's nothing really, I mean, aside from like being close to the labs and that stuff, there's nothing really like nothing really cool happened up there, honestly. Of like, that was the gnarly thing happened whenever I moved from up there back down to Navarre, Florida, right outside of Eglin Air Force Base. And after about a year and a half, because it was 2013, yeah, so it was 2014, so it was about a year and a half to 2 years that I was living outside of Eglin Air Force Base. I think a year and a half. And yeah, I woke up from this experience. And that is where the actual story starts. That so it starts off and it's an all white area. It's just white, you know, like in that construct scene of the Matrix. It's just nothing but whiteness in all directions that you look. So there's nothing to look at. And then this device shows up. I have drawn it, but the device freaks me out as soon as I see it for at least hours amounts of time. Like I have a mental meltdown at the sheer sight of the technology of this golden, reflective, yet transparent, kind of like an emerald sundial, 14-foot wide disc. And in the center of this 14-foot wide disc so the bottom of it is like a platform. It's just a large platform that is about 14 inches high that you would have to step up onto it, which you would to activate this machine or consciousness, whatever it should be labeled as. I don't know. So this kind of sundial, large 14-foot wide disc, in the center of it has like a raw shaped head that is a activation point. Whoa. The raw shaped head has a similar like it looks it looks like a stretched out hieroglyphic of raw itself, of like it helps me to draw it, to actually look at the hieroglyphs and then just stretch them out to the dimensions that I saw this device.
Yeah.
But not to forget the strangeness that I am just having a dream experience where it's all white. I turn around and this is the only thing, is this strange device. And at the sheer side of it, I cry. I and like fall on my knees eventually. I'm like, I don't know. And I instantly am afraid I'm going to get shot in the back of the head. Like I literally like look behind me and it's still white everywhere and it stayed that way. But I was like, at the sheer side of this, I'm dead. Like I ain't supposed to see that right there. I know I'm not supposed to see that. It was like a hamster trying to figure out how a twin turbo Ferrari engine works. It was like it was like a earthworm trying to understand how to play Xbox Call of Duty. It was pretty insane to understand that I knew that I was looking at something that was essentially a technology or a sentient technology, like a crystalline technology. But it was scary. It was scary on the level of like, I don't think it is going to hurt me, but I'm not supposed to know about this. This has nothing to do with me. It was, I literally had this hyper advanced beyond time alien kind of like scared and amazement. I don't really have words for like the bewilderment and just being befounded of like, I don't understand how to even process this. But what I am able to process is that the shape was similar enough to look like Stargate SG-1, that aesthetic that it used for its avians, to where after I had this mental meltdown and freaking out and cried over it, and then I eventually looked back at it like directly, I couldn't even directly keep my eyes on it because it was so like, I have no business dealing with alien spaceships like that. Or as far as I thought. But anyways, there is a section, like a bowl, hollowed out bowl section, to where the shape of the bird itself is where an eye needs to fill in. but it's not there unless you activate it correctly. And so anyone who I've had work with me, scan me, and do anything, they're all telling me that what I activated has to be done through what I also agree with, through like a certain DNA and or your frequency. It will remain dormant unless you're a good guy, basically. Unless you're of some holy something and it's the right bloodline or whatever it may be, it's gonna stay dormant and just sit there and look like it's a beak there and like a neck, but the eye section stays hollow and doesn't fill in until someone is steps on it, and those procedures, I guess, are like understood by the device itself.
Huh.
So I don't learn that until I'm already standing on it and the device activates, and then this gelatinous, glowing emerald and also green and light blue, different shades of those colors and these different densities start to gelatinously, plasmically light appear and blob in these gelatinous orb forms of where that hollow spatial section of the head is, of where the eye should be, of this bird statue thing of the shape of Ra. So it has this big elongated open like bowl section for it to be able to hold this gelatinous ooze stuff that is like light ooze, I guess. There were all these like intricate geodes. So, like as soon as you look at it, it looks like kind of like the surface of water, but it's like gelatinous and like blobby. It's like floating liquid light plasma, basically.
Whoa, that's
And
insane.
it's like incredibly mesmerizingly, like you're probably going to be staring at it like it's meant to be mesmerizing, but I didn't know that that is what actuated and activates to load a timeline. I accidentally did by getting close to it, and then the ripples that were showing up in all of the like floating gelatinous like sphere that fits within that eye section of the raw head on this device, that just to emphasize where it came from nowhere, and I'm just here and it's there. I have nothing else to do. Like, so this device activates, and then what happens is I start seeing these, I don't know how long, like 300-mile long, massive, like domino style blocks of space time that start to load in around me. And whenever I'm in an all white sequence, everything will show up that's there. And what loads is a Mayan nighttime in these massive like blocks that fit together. Whenever you activate it, it basically does like a northwest first like reading, I guess. And then it makes like the circumference of the planet around you. And it loads these space-time blocks, and those have the air, and they're of that space-time like timeline that loads. And basically it happened way too fast for me the first time whenever it loaded the Mayan nighttime, but it loaded that's to my guess, like it loaded a nighttime where I was hearing like jungle cats. I was feeling like humidity similar to Florida, but it was like I was in a real rainforest. It was like real howler monk. There was like monkeys. There was different wildlife and stuff where I was instantly like, it loaded fast, and it's nighttime, and I'm standing on this device in nighttime in the wilderness now, like pretty fast, within like 2 minutes, like or less. I'm on a new time, like it loads a new timeline. So
That's insane.
yeah, like, and like I say, like it's hard to emphasize of like, I'm in the all white, as far as I know, I'm in a lucid dream or something. I don't know what's going on through like all of this really. And I still really don't, like I still only have like these like guesses, like, so it loads this nighttime. And I remember when I stepped off of the device, when my foot hit the forest floor, it like crunched down like 3 to 4 inches, like deep of density, like all these leaves and like decaying mushrooms and like all this plant matter like crunched down really deep and dense. And I was like, what? Whoa, like I've never felt that. I've never been to like a South American jungle or rainforest. So I was like, wait, what? Like right away I remembered that, because it was like right when I stepped off of that device, it was like crunch with my right foot. I remember it when my weight went down, and I start walking. There is a trail. It is a full moon. It is nighttime. And within 10 minutes that I start walking, big cats start trailing behind me, and I hear them getting closer. So I start getting really, really scared. I start moving faster. What happens is there is a mama, and she sends two cubs around my left side to flank me, and she hung back and she sent someone else around the right side to flank me. So I had jaguars trying to flank me as I'm moving down this like pretty wide trail through a lot of different like branches and stuff. And I eventually started speeding up to a point to where I remember I was trying to like jump in front of things that might be like a piece of wood or like a branch or a massive root that was sticking up that would like kind of block them from me. I remember trying to like throw things kind of in the path behind me of like, screw you, like you're gonna have to go over this to get to me, buddy, even though I'm about to die. But like, so it is a very close moment of I know that I'm about to die. And the strangest thing, this is nighttime, there's full moon, so you can see to a degree of like light coming through the canopy. There's a woman of all things like 50 feet in the distance watching this happen, and of all things she's breastfeeding, watching me watching all this. And I don't know, like I don't remember at whatever point that the jaguars left me alone, but I went closer towards her because before I got her, I remember there was like a fire in the distance, and I went towards that, even though I was like, all right, I'm gonna let people kill me instead of the jaguars. Like, I don't have a choice, like, if they're gonna be me or not, because I didn't know. It just started right there. So it was like, okay, well, what survival, like whatever decision making. So I went towards the light in the woods that I saw that was a fire that I knew was people, but that lady saw me before I saw anyone first. She was breastfeeding, like I say, and then she is very kind, and she hands me this massive, like, I don't know if it was a mango fruit, but it was some massive fruit that was very, very juicy, that was about 9 inches tall, that is very resemblant to a massive, like, jungle mango fruit or a papaya or something. Like, it was like, because the jaguars were gone, I was kind of escaping them, and like, I would like a drink now, sure. Like, so she hands this to me as a kind gesture, and then offers me to come around the corner in this nice, friendly way after she did that while she's breastfeeding. Like, she has like a red kind of like orange robe like that's covering herself up. So she's not like nude or anything. It doesn't like have that type of like understanding and vibe of the moment, but she has light, like cloth for clothing, and she offers me to go around the corner. And then as I do, it is basically her tribe. Wow. And I'm happy that, I'm still stoked that the jaguars didn't tear me apart and eat me. So these people are acting friendly, and this lady's acting friendly. I'm gonna go with it, dude. Like, I almost died. Like, I got nothing to lose. Let's go with it. So she apparently, I think her name was Zahira, but she apparently was like somebody fancy that was like up in the family. Like, she was like a royalty girl. And so she brought me over towards the elders and said something to them to where they allowed me to sit with them. So I sat and I only listened, and then people were telling stories, and it was a celebration, and they had all of these, like, they had like a area of like kind of cleared land, but they had these big massive trees that they were using for like a long bench that they were gonna like eventually burn, but they were right now like almost like not stadium benches, but they had these long bench massive trees that like a lot of people were out at this. Like, it seemed like, I don't know, maybe like 30 people, like more than what their normal tribe size was. Even it was like some moon festival, I believe. It was a full moon night, but they were telling stories, and the stories, I believe, ended up being like humility and stories of your life that you would laugh about. Like, so it really ingrained in me to do and follow the same way that the elders of that tribe were telling the stories that were like they learned about things, or the jaguars almost ate them, and like, like this or that happened, and it was, they had to learn the lesson as a young boy, as a young man, to be a wise chieftain. And then like everyone would laugh whenever the chief would laugh, and it was like this really respectful, loving tribal community celebration night. But if it was like some movie, that basically, whenever I went to sleep that night, after them accepting me and welcoming me and offering fruit and drinks and things and being like nothing but welcoming, even though the elders were like really not welcoming. Their elders were like staring me down. Basically, they were like, okay, I'm not sure about this guy, even though Zahira brought you over here. Like, dude, you better be on your good behavior. Like, they didn't kind of like that. I looked like me in this I don't know what I would call it, experience. Like, I look completely like me, like a normal white dude with a beard, and I didn't age in it. And and I should just say now, like, I couldn't starve and I couldn't be harmed. So throughout all of this, I'm essentially indestructible, as fake as that sounds. Not that I'm wanting anyone to believe any of this, but I was indestructible in this experience. I couldn't be hurt, and as far as I know, I couldn't be starved. But I would drink and I would eat things like normal. But anyways, essentially,
I just wanted to ask you a question real quick. Someone in the audience wanted to know: are you 26 by audience? Or are you older or younger?
Older.
Okay, someone thought maybe they might have knew you. This girl, Shaylee, I think her name is, in the audience. She asked if you were 26, and I said, "So, what are you? Are you in your 30s, 40s? If you don't mind me asking."
Oh yeah, I don't mind. I'm 40.
Oh, it's
I
okay.
broke into the 40 gang.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. Last time I heard you were 44, so.
Yeah, my birthday was January 11th. Dude, it's going too fast, man. It's going
okay. Maybe it was like older videos or something that I had been watching, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But you're right. It's
not
going
that it matters.
I feel like my age is time traveling and it's escaping me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, another way I've kind of answered it, like I do, like from my experience, I feel every day of like, I mean, I can kind of bring that to the story. Is like, so that was like a night hanging out with them, and then I went to sleep that night, and then I woke up that morning and I was still right there with them.
Yeah.
So like it was like from day to day life with those people. Like, I was able to be trained with them, and I went through the way that what I remember right now is generations. So it would be like Zahira had a son that whenever she was breastfeeding, that son liked me a lot. That family, certain people did like me. I mean, a lot of people did, but he was able to tell me that, like, he was able to remember that his mom said that I was cool, type of thing. Like, and if Zahira said you were, then like she was such royalty that like everyone, she was wise. So like everyone would believe her from the start. They wouldn't really doubt her. But the son liked me, and I remember him becoming a chieftain. And then I remember him having a son or two sons and a daughter. And then that man passed away, and then he had a ceremony for his, like, as a chieftain. They have a ceremonial. I don't remember Zahira's death, but I remember there were so many generations following that were from her, that were the family tree of Zahira from that boy that I saw the first time I ever saw her. That boy was a chieftain, and then there was a ceremony for his death, and then I remember that, and then there was like a crowning chieftain for his heir and his kids. I remember that, and then I remember things of like swimming with them and like hunting and giving them deer, and like, dude, I did things we were not supposed to do it, where I started learning over a few generations. You shouldn't be. I was skimboarding whenever I was in Navarre, and that was the time whenever I was like returned from this. So I was into running a lot. So in this experience, I was similar to how I was at that time. So I liked to run back then because running helped me skim, because you wait for the wave to come in, and then as soon as the skim washes up, you run and throw the skimboard down. Running and taking runs, like, it helped me a lot for like, I don't need to go and work out my arms to help me skimboard, but if I can run and have a good endurance, it'll help a longer skimboard session. So at that time, in that timeline, I was coming from right then in those years of my life of like, I like to run. I was running and I thought I was alone, and I was singing DMX, and it was a big mistake. They heard me and I was loud and it echoed, and they got on to me about it because I was rapping like modern day lyrics about like gangster stuff that has nothing to do with the timeline, but it sounded bad. and they didn't know like what I was saying, and they didn't like it at all. They were like, you can't say things unless it's like the forest has to be okay with it. First of all, Junior, like you can't just go singing these things from your lands here, like basically is what they would say to me. And I was like, I was kind of cocky. Like I didn't need to be respectful. Like I was like my normal self in a way of, especially back in 2014. Like I had a lot of growing to do since then. And like back then I had plenty of ego that had to get in check of like, dude, no, you don't get to just take a jog and sing DMX because you have an attitude, son. Like that disturbs the forest. That may bother another tribe neighboring. Like you have responsibilities here if you're gonna stay. And I was like, oh, this kind of is like a back and forth deal. Like there are laws that I gotta follow, like that I gotta be wised up on, and like there were certain things that oh man, whenever I would go to sleep there, I would have dreams of like getting drunk over here. I would have dreams of like going fishing.
Brad, this
Dude,
is so
I would
cool
have,
that you did this. Like I didn't do this in like a time machine like you did or whatever was the, but like I have these weird dreams. Like I don't know if you've ever followed my show, but like I have to tell you this because you think you'll find this
yeah.
interesting. So like I go into these dreams sometimes where I'll dream like I'm in another reality and I'm like living in that reality for like 3 or 4 months at a time, and then I wake
That's
up
how
and it's
long
only
it
been five
goes.
hours. You know, like it's weird. I don't understand it. You know.
What was the last part you said after it? Like that's the
I said
duration?
I'll be in this reality and I'll be living there for like 3 months or a long time, and then I wake up and it's only been 5 hours.
What
You
do you
know,
recall from it though? Or do
I
you
just recall like being around people and like
it's
somehow I know
vague?
people in this reality, but I don't know them in this reality. Like I know them in the reality that I'm like
Yeah.
acting
Associated.
in
Yeah,
my
yeah,
reality.
yeah.
But
I
it's
relate
weird
to
that
that.
like, I also know myself there, that I know that I'm somewhere I shouldn't be or somewhere that seems odd to me. I know it seems like I know I'm in a dream, but I can't wake up for some reason or come out of it. You know, it's weird. It's really strange. I don't know. I've always been able to do that. You know, like it's a weird.
Yeah.
I haven't had one in a while, but like I've told people there's been situations where I'm like living on a barn like an Amish person, and I'm like milking cows. Meanwhile, like I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm like a city slicker,
Right.
like so it's like
Yeah,
weird stuff. I
that
don't get.
is. So
Yeah,
it's typically around 3 months though. Like that's for you. Like
I'm just exaggerating. It's like a long time. It could be weeks. It could be a month. You know, it seems
okay.
like a long time. You know what I mean? It seems like a really I don't know. I don't understand it at all. You know.
I'm always open to hearing like everything because it's oh wait. Because it's all like I don't know, I could learn something in every single occasion. And it seems like people's recalls aren't like for that's new information for me that I can add to everything that I study. You know what I mean? And I don't come across that as much. So I always appreciate all of it. Like all of it can be I'm open to all of it, you know, from after
Are
what
you
I've
gonna hear
been
something
through.
crazy? One time I interviewed a guy who was studying like comas and near death experiences, and like people were having like people who came out of comas and the things they experienced, and like some people would experience alternate realities and coma states, and sometimes they keep reliving the same horrible scene over and over and over again. Like imagine you're in a coma and the demon's coming at you, and it just comes to attack you, and you keep reliving that over and over, or like someone's raping you. God forbid, I don't
Worst
want to ever
case.
happen to me.
Yeah.
Like or something like horror, someone's coming to murder you, or like you're being hunted down. Like he said, people would have scenarios like that over and over and over in these coma states for some reason. I found that so bizarre. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
really would hope not, you know, like that they're a prisoner almost to having to endure like what they're not they have no consent to that. That's what triggered me whenever I tried to watch Altered Carbon, and I watched some of it, and that's what they did. They would put people into a alternate reality program or a virtual reality program, and then they would be torturing them, cutting their leg off. Whenever in real life they're not missing any limbs, but they're feeling everything in like a full Matrix, you know, like way or whatever. But
oh god,
that's a whole disclosure show that I didn't watch a lot of that has legitimate, you know, like cloning stuff, and they wear sleeves, and it's like they basically transfer the consciousness from like kind of like Darth Sidious style of like I'm transferring my consciousness down to like my alternate bodies that I have. They called them sleeves.
Wow.
And they would have them like on deck, ready to get into like a new body. If something happened to them, they have like a thing in the back of their neck that you can shoot, and that is where your memory is stored in the lore, anyways. But I talked to John Whitberg about that whenever him and I have gone back and forth about different ops and time travel things like that. I've talked to so many people over the years, but I love that that's the first time that I've heard like that. So if or when more like that, I mean, I'm an open door. If you learn more, I would like to know more about it.
Yeah,
Because I'm putting everything as much as I can together.
Yeah, this one's from Anchor Haven. She said, "Did you ask the Mayans where they hid the gold?" Like,
so there was nothing like with. Okay, I should just go back to that. All right, so with the Mayan people, like they taught me things, and they were open, and the jungle offers everything that you want to learn. So I was able to learn all kinds of cool things that I already had interest in. And at that time, I was into archery. So I was able to have fun with that for deer. I was able to have fun with fishing, and I was able to have fun with tomahawks. I was able to have fun just meditating and being in nature and being left alone because they respected that space. There was nothing. So okay, honestly, I don't even know. I don't have anything that can say specifically that it was the Mayans. I did see architecture that is very similar to pictures of ancient Mayan sites, but I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have a camera. I essentially loaded into this kind of naked. Like I didn't have anything. Like so I didn't have a clock. I didn't have a reference point. I had east and west and the sunset and maybe 13 seasons. Like it growing cycles. It was just living with those people and their style of life. But what actually didn't happen that they said about Mayan people were like sacrifices of blood and stuff. Like the people that I with were Christ consciousness. They were light, like completely. All of my memory with them is completely elevating your consciousness and appreciating everything that the mother jungle has to offer you and all of the species and creatures around it that make the ecological peaceful system that is their jungle world, basically. Like normal, and it was very handed down. It wasn't like, oh, we forgot the teachings and we don't know how they. No, it was like perfectly. As soon as people are of age, they learn how to do things, and they were taught the family spiritual secrets, and everything was like like handed down and told, and you weren't forced to be anything. But like I say, the jungle offered you a facility to do anything you wanted. Like if you wanted to go hunt, if you wanted to go gather, if you wanted to go get fruits, if you wanted to go farm and grow things, like you could do whatever you want to do. But that one thing that I couldn't like say normal, I had to respect their time and peace. Like I couldn't, they only the closest ones in any timeline would ever ask me about this timeline. Like, and like I was saying, I would have in my dreams I would have dreams about being here, like with my mom before she passed, and like with my brother and stuff, and like with my grandma before she passed, and like it would be of this timeline. It would just like whenever I go to bed, I would sometimes have like pretty often dreams of this timeline for whatever messed up reason. But no, the Mayans or whoever I was with never showed me any gold. Everything that was like of value was handed down vocally down from the teachers, and it was not a secret. Nothing. It doesn't really relate, honestly, even though that is a satirical joke and everything. But it was they were peaceful. They lived among they were content with very little. We were nomadic. We did go to different areas. I believe we did intermingle with other tribes, and we celebrated with other tribes. But we were like 25 people, I think, like not many large. We were like 25 to 30 people of a tribe that I have most of my memory with them in that timeline. So it's pretty vague for like certain things, but it's not vague for whenever the conquistadors came and invaded us. And I at that time had been there for about, like I say, where they had a ceremony for like a king, and then if he passes, and then that way you can go through generations. It was about 8 generations deep, and they lived about 60 years. So however long that is, the conquistadors showed up, and that's how long I was there with them. But I don't even know how many generations it was, like, but it was at least 8 or more generations of them living for 60 years. Because there would be a ceremony that I could remember, that I have anchor memory of, and the conquistadors showed up. I assume it's them, but it was ships were in the distance, and I don't remember cannons. That's probably a good thing. That would probably come back with aggressions, but I do remember muskets. I do remember men in armor, and they seemed like armored demons, and they were exponentially more than what the tribal groups had. Like, it was not a fight, it was a slaughter. So there's plenty of trauma that, like, like I said about myself, of like, I couldn't be harmed, but I could be a compassionate witness. So I kind of just stood there in horror, because I tried to warn them that they were coming, but they didn't want to listen, except for small groups of women and children eventually fled, and used their horses and went to other areas. But whenever they were invaded, it was at nighttime whenever I was there, and they just came on horses with muskets and just started blasting the crap out of people that are using like tomahawks and spears. Oh, they had long halberd metal spears too. That was scary. They were all on horses. That was scary. They were just slaughtering literally everyone that was moving on our side of the territory. Like, there wasn't women and children, except for way after that. But I was super traumatized from just kind of being able to only sit there and watch this. And there was just like a ton of blood and puddles. There was just a lot of collateral damage of horses that was like really bad to hear. There was a lot of collateral damage of like the forest being burnt. There was 1 second, readjusting the room. Sorry. Okay. There was just like anyone would guess, just like a lot of screaming, a lot of craziness and screaming of women and children that shouldn't just persist like that. But in the invasion that whatever took place that I was there for, I assume I was there for like maybe 2 hours before I started deciding that I got to get the hell out of there. Hey, regardless of whatever's going on, it's just there's nothing there left. They burnt all, they like destroyed, like, the people that I stayed with didn't have like fancy architecture. In a lot of cases, they were able to like nomadically like pick up their like kind of wigwam teepee style of like indigenous houses that we could like move into another section of the safe jungle. Like, it didn't really matter. But it was just easy to burn that for whatever. I don't want to call them white demon people, but I mean, from that perspective, yeah, I mean, I would say that if I was them and stuff, and that's their perception. I have extra, knowledge and perception because I come from the 20th century timeline. But in this experience, it didn't mirror history, but it just vaguely seemed similar to what you would remember out of our history books. If you cared or not, you would still be like, okay, yeah, so there were pyramids in Egypt and this and that, like there were Aztec and the Mayan South American jungle and stuff like that. But Mesoamerican territory, it was a beautiful jungle and was really, really peaceful up until that invasion night happened. So anyways, try to make that part quickly. I went back to where I left the device. The device had I covered it up with trees and other things, and no one messed with it. And then I took a horse and went over back to it where it was. I brought some horses with me to try and save them, and then I let all of them go whenever I got to the device. Because there was tons of horses like tied up still, and they were still getting like burnt and like or just all kinds of bad things were happening to them because they couldn't get away because they were still tied down. So I like spent some time doing that on my way leaving because it was so horrible of like just crying horses whenever I could just untie them easily. So I did on my way out of that shithole attack. But it it totally, from like whenever that happened, I was freaking out. So it was more of like on a level of like kind of survival of like, all right, if I can like kind of rudimentary think and make a decision to get to the device and not and understand that it is going to load me into a timeline, but I don't know where. I never know where in any case. I just know that this device can send me somewhere. So that was kind of the criteria that I just took with, because everyone that I cared about was killed in front of me, and it was that kind of scenario for me at that time. So I brushed off the stuff off of the device, and the weirdest thing that happened is that out of nowhere, which I feel like I was infiltrated, my uncle out of nowhere shows up and says my name. My uncle from Texas is like, Brad, where he doesn't even need to be in this timeline at all. Like, he doesn't even need to be. He has no, like, Kenny has no place being in ancient Maya at all. But I'm about to use the device, and he's interrupting me from using it out of nowhere. Of all
Wow.
things. So I turn, and he's like, Brad, with this long Hank Hill, Texas Southern drawl accent. He's like, Bradley, Bradley, what are you doing? What is this, man? He starts asking me all these 20 questions all of a sudden. And he's like, what is this thing, man? What are you doing? What the hell's that fire in the distance? Like, innocent. And I'm like, Kenny, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, what are you doing here? And I'm like, you don't even want to know where we are, and I don't even know where I'm about to go, but I'm going. I'm like, and you ain't about to stop me. I was like, I can't even explain, dude. What are you talking about? How are you even here? Are you in a dream right now, Kenny? Because I didn't know where I was. So I was like, are you in a dream right now? Because he's a spiritual person.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, what are you doing with this thing? What are you about to do? I'm like, I'm about to go somewhere else whenever I activate this thing. And he's like, and he kind of like grabbed against my body. He's like, wait, what are you doing with this? And I'm like, dude, chill, like, get off me, like, back off. Like, I'm going by. Like, I was direct. Like, I was started to cry. I was like, I'm going. Like, I just saw everyone killed. Like, screw you. I don't care who you are. Like, I gotta go. I'm freaking out. So
That's easy, dude. So are you real close with your uncle in real
dude,
life?
he's cool as hell. He's really dope. He's like, he's a spiritual, like, he's the coolest dude in my family. He's
That's
he
awesome.
So like with him, it was like somebody acted like they were him or something, but someone used his appearance or some shit. And I have no idea how, because I'm in another timeline. So this doesn't make sense to me at all. But Kenny, of all freaking people, comes over onto the device and he's interrupting and asking me questions about it, what it is, what do I do with it, how does it work, trying to get info on me. And I'm like, that's what makes me think I was infiltrated at that moment.
Yeah.
That's what makes me, it's like, why would you, what the hell?
Yeah.
So anyways, I start moving towards the device, and he's kind of holding me back, but I push forward and continue on. The device, where it has that hollow section of the head, lights up all blue and gorgeous and green and emerald with the gelatinous plasma light floating again, like I'll always say. And it starts loading a timeline around us. And this time I actually got to see the massive space-time blocks load, because it was a daytime desert area, because it went from a nighttime attack from the Conquistador or whoever the assholes were that were in the armor that killed all the people that I thought were like my Aztec families. Leaving there and loading and having the sequence happen that you're not actually leaving there. You're standing on the device and you're watching around you in all directions. These massive space-time domino blocks load, but they're daytime. So they're easy to see because it's the nighttime, daytime, trying to bring around contrast. So I'm seeing these massive daytime, sunny sky, clear blue sky, space-time blocks that are 300 miles or more long, wide, of like the grid of the planet loading silently.
Wow.
I looked behind me and it started doing like this massive like checkerboard filling up the sky as I looked around the curvature of the non-flat Earth. As I looked around the curvature of the Earth, those blocks loaded up Egypt basically, and then me and Kenny, he got to go through it with me, I guess, because he did. Me and my uncle load into a hot Egyptian desert day and then step off of it, and we start walking. This is the second timeline. I've already been through multiple different generations, and we could stop this though if you wanted to like do a round 2 or continue to go. But yeah, it's a hot day compared to a cool night that I just left the jungle from. I'm like acclimated to being Mowgli in the jungle for generations, and then I load into a hot sandy desert with my random uncle of all things, and then we start walking towards what is like a town, like a bazaar, like an area where I have looked up, and it seems like ancient Edfu, Egypt. So me and Kenny are walking, and we need clothes, first of all. Me and Kenny are walking, and it looks like Tatooine and like the slums market where there's wood, and then there will be like a kind of rope where it's like wrapped around certain sections to where they're trying to make like a little like a setup with like a little cloth awning for like a ghetto flea market style setup, and like a really rundown Tatooine, like a really rundown ancient Egypt section before you can get into the city walls. Outside of the city walls is this bustling market section that we blended into.
That's so fascinating. Wow. Well, but is there a lot? Do you want to come back on in a couple days and we can do a part 2?
Totally.
This is getting really good. How much did you remember left? Like, I mean, because I can do it like on like the 14th or 16th if you can do Thursday or Saturday. I have those days open, you know.
Saturdays are good. Wait, yeah, Thursday would be good actually. Yeah, that would be okay.
Yeah, we could do Thursday the 14th, and we could do the same time if you want, 5 p.m. Eastern. I can put it on my.
It's a pretty good time. Yes, yeah, that would make it simple. Probably, I would love to. Since you're interested, I would be honored, bro. I am so thankful just to run my mouth and have a space where someone is interested, and you know. I appreciate it so much.
Questions, because I don't have Brian Singh coming on. Brian Singh's coming on in a half hour, but I figured maybe we could take a couple questions real quick.
Yeah, I have no idea how hard that would be. I've always wondered, where can I? Wait.
One of the questions is, do you have? Anchorham wants to know, do you have your own channel?
No, I don't have like. Okay, so I didn't really say a lot about like, this happened to me. I woke up from this experience in 2014, and since then I've been looking for answers, and I've been pretty quiet about this except for my closest friends and family. And up until about 2 years ago, I did record with John Whitberg, and he did post that, and I rushed to explain it, and we only got to this part right here. It was pretty bad compared to this, but basically I've been secretive about this for my life, and especially up until my mom passed away. I didn't want my family to be under any threat because I woke up from this strange, clearly clandestine time travel thing that no one's going to believe. So, was that the question? Or are there other ones? Or
yeah. Let me see.
I've been trying to be safe because I thought I would be killed about all of this, really. I waited till a lot more patriots were in control. Honestly, I waited politically to come out. I waited till safer people were in power other than Biden. I waited until the COVID thing passed to come out with this because I've been wanting to say it, but it's like, it felt dangerous as hell. It really felt dangerous as hell to come out. Like,
yeah. Pizzalau had a question. He said, how come he acted so confused? Brad said.
Me?
You mean your uncle? Do you think your uncle was confused to be there, or do you think your uncle knew what was going on?
I think they knew. I think he was like an insert. I think that they used like I think they used Kenny's like physical appearance, and then they were trying to figure out how to utilize the device, because at that point, and at every point that I have any memory of, I was the only one who utilized the device. So I think that Kenny came into the scene to act like he was there to have interest in the device. But I think that that would be dark forces that force, because I have no consent to do any of this. That's how I know it's not a spiritual experience. Like, it's not a spiritual breakthrough or anything, because I did not want to do that. I didn't want to go see the Conquistadors come murder a bunch of people. I didn't want to go get stuck in ancient Mayan. Like, you know, this is like, it just randomly loaded a timeline. Just like for the second Mayan one. Just like for every other one. But
does anybody have any other question? I know Jason said they have a lot of questions. They usually do have a lot of questions.
I bet a lot of people do, and I really hope I can, like, not avoid them.
Oh no, you wouldn't avoid it. I mean,
I want to be. It's just. I thought about. I probably just had too much time to think about. Like, man, people are gonna ask you things that you don't know at all, and that sucks. So, I have not necessarily more detail in my book, to be sincere. Like, I just want the information out of the experience, but I do want to. Drago is probably someone to work with. And I have reached out to him to get more regression, to do regression, because I haven't done any at all. So if I do regression to hypnosis therapy and I bring back memories, that would be more of a, like, more stronger detail of things. But that will be very painful, because a lot of this this isn't the only invasion encounter in this story. There's another one. It sucked. But there's multiple. Like I say, like, you labeled this perfectly with 6 timelines, because, like, that's only so far too.
Yeah.
Mayan than Egyptian.
Jason wants to know, were you in appropriate attire when you went to the Egyptian and then in the Mayan? Like,
that's the first part. No, we found, like, brown cloth rags that we wore around our bodies, and Kenny and I kept making jokes about it towards each other back and forth, because he's, like, way overweight. So his belly was, like, sticking out, and you have the scene of my King of the Hill, Texas Southern drawl uncle with a beer belly wearing a brown, like, cloth. I don't know how to describe it. Like, thin cloth. Like, we made, like, robes, basically. But Kenny's robe didn't fit at all. So I kept giving him shit the whole time, because it was really nice. Because, like, I didn't know where he came from. So I wasn't going to be mean, but I was mean. But I was still, like, I didn't have any information or any knowledge that this was part of anything, like some operation. I didn't know these things were possible. I didn't know any of this was possible. Like,
yeah.
I still don't.
This one is from Derek. Derek says, what would be your first reaction if you found out the deep state is watching you?
How does anyone assume that the deep state isn't watching everyone?
That's a good point, right? They are probably watching us. Yeah.
Who isn't the deep state watching? So what if I postulated what my reaction be if the deep state was watching me? They've probably seen my dick pics.
That's hilarious.
Like, there's too many patriots in control right now, and there will be, for me to matter. I waited since 2014 to see if they have the real Jedi Kung Fu to, like, bring it. Like, I've been on the front line. Okay, my whole spiritual thing is a whole different thing. This is just my abduction experience. Like, I'm fully aligned with God and everything. Like, I can only work with the 7 higher heavens because everything else is funneled incorrectly. And I can only interact with that device because I apparently have the right DNA and energy. But I always feel like somebody's watching me. We're in America.
Yeah, that's a good point. Dan Newman says, is this physical time travel or consciousness time travel? I would say it's a combination of both. It sounds like you're going physically in an altered conscious state. You know, it's like
it was this. So maybe the fact that this body couldn't physically be harmed has something to do with that being the same thing with what you said. I think you're right. I think it was physically and consciously. If it was consciously, I don't think that I would be able to look in the reflection of, like, a river and see this face, and I would have aged, and I stayed the same. Like, I didn't age, and I couldn't be harmed physically.
Yeah. Jason wants to know. He says, "Would I'm not sure what you mean." He says, would B recognize any faces before he stepped on the device?" Like,
Do what?
he said, "Would you recognize any faces from before he stepped on the device?"
Would I recognize?
Like,
or if they reword it, I recognized faces from the experience to where I'll show you a picture of her, but I found somebody that resembles Zahira, the lady that saw me while I found a girl that looks like her. And then I asked her randomly, she's in our community. I asked her randomly. I made friends with her that way. Like, I'm looking for that information. I saw somebody that looks like, I'll show you a picture of what Zahira looks like, the Jaguar Queen. And then I'll show you a picture of the girl in our community that looks like Zahira's offspring, like, looks like related to her. I asked her, and she was like, "Yeah, I do have family blood from that area that you're asking about." And I was like, "Okay, interesting." Shot in the dark, and
I mean, she could be. It could be a projection of her from the other. You know, that being that you met in the other reality could be a projection of that girl. Like, you know, I feel like that a lot of times.
Oh,
you know, like she could be her.
Well,
you know,
dude, I think we're at an area where I wouldn't disagree at all. Like, that may be where it fits. That's why I thank you so much for like having the conversation alone. Like, it helps a lot with others who have been around people and are kind of like open-minded enough, I guess. They know how to rap about this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Not all of them have to love Prodigy like us, but they know the game. They know how to rap about this. They know it's serious, you know, like.
Oh, it's one thing I wanted to ask you. So you're a Mobb Deep fan too? I'm a big Mobb Deep fan.
Yeah, since HINC era, like, rest in peace, bro. Like, I look up to Prodigy like a father figure almost, of a strong man, of like a strong, like, inspiring person, father figure in my life almost, of like, that guy is a tough guy, you know, like, he is the real deal with sickle cell and everything he fought through, interview he ever did, everything he ever spoke about. I didn't even care about the disclosure stuff. I liked it on a musical, like, real rap, like, and the Havoc beats that came in so heavy. And it was just like, whenever I moved up to Connecticut, it was the music, like, on the East Coast music, the real hip hop, and the golden era too. But yeah.
Yeah, that was my shit, man. I mean, plus he wrote songs about the Illuminati. He had encounters with beings and stuff like that. He said in interviews, you know, it's really.
He said dark entities too. Yeah.
Yeah, he said he
was very aware.
Yeah, he was. Like,
I love that. I didn't learn that until after the fact that he was like my idol. I was like, whoa, this guy. I don't know, that guy. He really. Did he die under mysterious? You know what I mean? That's like. Taken too soon. Like, like, that's a careful thing. But I don't want to. You definitely have to go for Brian's thing, so I don't want to hold you up, even though it's been totally awesome.
Something to eat real quick before that show, but dude, this was awesome. I really enjoyed having you on. I wrote you down on my calendar for the 14th, so we can definitely do it again.
Sick. Okay,
do you want to tell people where they can find you and stuff, or if you want to tell people?
I may do that maybe on the next one, because like I say, I don't know. I just want to get the information out there. I'm not really a content maker. Like, I have a book that I'm going to do. I am working on Nuclear Proof, but I mean, I'm just trying to put the information out there for now. I could make something. I may see how much feedback there is if people have that much interest, but I'm honestly just trying to do, like, no, I don't right now. Like, whenever I did interviews with others, I haven't put out anything like that. I probably will. Maybe I will whenever we do like the next one. I'll have it ready or something and make an IG or something. If someone, you know, like, I would like to be supportive if there were people who had similar memory and recall, and like, I would be someone that they could try and reach out to if it would connect. And what I do to, like, surfing is one thing where you understand of, like, after going through things like that, surfing is helpful for my mental health. So I'm really into that. So, like, I don't hear, like, I wish a lot more survivors would talk about, like, what do you do to, like, survive? Like, how are you a survivor? You know, like, people talk about the experience, but not, like, the post experience and like being here, like I have zero motive. Like I just want people to know the information and know that this is some operation. I wanted someone else to have some more information about this, and then I learned from them. And then what happened is that no one came out and talked about this across the community yet. So now I feel like inclined to. So that's just to be full transparent of like why I don't have a website or why I don't have this or that. It's like I've been careful about even like when I write a book about I don't want that to be found of like this information. I've been very paranoid about like being safe and having this information in my mind.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of
One
scary.
more question before we go. Kitsalao wants to know: did you do any regressions? Or did you just all just off your memory?
This is all of my memory that isn't from altars, so it's all in my haunted, scary, traumatized memory.
Shaylee says she's getting a million messages for him. She has messages for you. She says, So maybe if you want to connect with people next time, you can leave your whatever way that's interesting, like for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Noted.
Well, this was
then.
Awesome. Yeah. Well,
I appreciate it's my honor, man. Thank you, especially for carrying on for so long and going over time and on the short notice. And you're a fellow surfer, so this is the best. Like, thank you so much.
Fellow skateboarder, too, Jackass alumni too. You know, like
yeah, for real, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I have one little tape. I want to recover an old tape from Jackass times. I may have it, but yeah.
Oh, dude,
good memories.
I have old videos of me skateboarding back in 95, 96, 97, 98.
Dude, you're sitting on the gyms.
Yeah, I was pretty good. I wasn't sponsored, but I was pretty good, you know. I could do like awesome. Flips, like 180 hill flips, 360 flips, like, you know.
Right, dude, you're sick as hell. What?
Yeah, I was pretty good.
So you're shredding. Yeah, for real.
I broke my ankle like multiple times. I have a bad ankle because of it.
I have a bad ankle from skimming, but yeah, I rolled them so many times, dude. We're like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, man. I mean, the boarding in general, that is really awesome. But yeah, I don't want to take up all of your day. I know you got to eat. You got to.
Yeah. Well, dude, no, it's really nice meeting you, man. You're awesome. You're like another bro. So yeah, this is totally my pleasure.
Likewise, the honor's mine, man. Thank you for having me. I'm a very happy guest. Well, I'll always come back for sure. This has been great.
All right. Well, all right, guys, I'll be live again in 20 minutes with Brian from the Full Disclosure Now conference, and I'll see you guys in about 20 minutes. Thanks, guys. Have a good